your bags. I'm going to come around and pick those up, and I'll give them to your teacher. Just she'll hold on to them so you don't have them for the rest of the day or the rest of your tours. And then you'll get them back once you go to school. And then you guys are welcome to eat your sandwich, and I'll just get started. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. I'll take the cards.
Make sure you have your cards out ready.
Manny, Sarah. Have your cards, please. Thank you. I grab your guys' cards. Got it? Thank you. I missed the bird. Have your cards. Did I get yours? Okay, sounds good. Have your guys' cards. Here, you can throw it here and I'll close it for you. Thank you. All right. No, but let's drink. All right. Can anybody tell me what this is? We don't have any left. Sorry.
Oh, why are there two?
Okay. Yes. Who is this?
Represent farmers.
It does represent farmers. Does anyone know what this is called? Yeah, right here. The sower, yes. So it represents farmers. Does anybody know like what he's doing? What action is that? Yep.
He's sowing seeds.
Yes, good. Sowing seeds. It's okay, I got you on the next one. Yes, he's sowing seeds. So this is our sower, and he's on top of the Capitol building, and he's sowing seeds across the west part of the state, just to represent agriculture, because agriculture is such a big thing in Nebraska. So how tall do you think he is? Yeah, right here. Really close. 19 and a half feet tall. So I'm 5'5", so that's a little less than 4 of me stacked on top of each other. And so that's pretty tall. And when you look at him, he doesn't look that tall, but that's just because he's so far up there. So what is agriculture? When I say the word agriculture, what comes to your mind? Farming. Ranching, good. Anything else? So the 3 F's that we like to think about when we talk about agriculture are food, fiber, and fuel. Agriculture has something to do with all the food that you're eating, and we'll talk a little bit about how agriculture has something to do with your lunch today. Every part of it comes from agriculture. And then the fiber, the clothes that you're wearing is made from crops, such as cotton. So that's agriculture as well. And then fuel, the gas that we put into our cars can be made from things such as corn. So we'll get to talk about that a little bit more, but when we talk about agriculture, I want you to remember our 3 F's, food, fiber, and fuel. So Nebraska has 45 million acres of farmland, which is 92% of the land in Nebraska. And that's about everything in Nebraska except for our big cities such as Lincoln and Omaha. It's actually the largest industry in Nebraska, and 1 out of every 4 jobs in Nebraska are related to agriculture. Does anybody have a parent that they know has a job related to agriculture? Yes, what is it?
Wait. What did you say again?
What did your parent have, like, is their job related to agriculture? What is it?
He drives a semi, I guess.
Yes, good. Yep, anybody else?
My uncle drives the my uncle drives the mine.
Good. Yeah. So yes, we have our traditional jobs that are directly related to agriculture, such as our farming and ranching. But we also have things such as florists, vets, truck drivers, grocery store workers, that all play a part in agriculture. So there are actually about 22 million people in the United States working in ag-related fields. And just because it's such a large industry and our world has to eat and our food comes from agriculture. So today we're going to talk about livestock, And so can anybody tell me what this is?
Cow.
Does anybody know what kind of cow it is?
A dairy cow?
The opposite.
A king cow.
What'd you say?
A king cow.
King
Cow? Yeah, he does have a crown. What do you think?
From the cart.
What else do cows produce?
Yeah, what do we think?
Besides, not dairy though, not milk.
A beef cow?
Yes, this is a beef cow. Specifically, this is a picture of a black Angus. That's the type of breed. They're very popular just because they produce high quality meat, and you'll see a lot of them across the state of Nebraska. But yes, this is a beef cow. So what are some products that we get from our beef cow? Yep,
Cheeseburger.
yep, cheeseburgers. Beef, yeah, in general.
Meat.
Meat.
Pizza.
Okay. Yeah, what do you have? Yep, hamburgers, steaks, roast beef. Anybody eating a roast beef sandwich? Yeah, that came from your beef cow. So there's a lot of really nutritious products that we get from our beef cattle. So Nebraska is known as the beef state because we have so many cattle across the state. We have actually over 20,000 beef cattle operations that produce nearly 8 billion pounds of red meat every year. So there's a lot of cattle, especially when you go in the western part of the state. You'll see them in pastures just about everywhere you go. So we're actually tied with, or not tied, but we go back and forth with Texas on which state has the most head of cattle, which is really impressive for Nebraska since Texas is such a much larger state than Nebraska is. So there's actually 6 million cows in Nebraska, which means that there's a lot more cows than there are people. There's actually a 3-to-1 ratio of cattle to people. So for every one person, there's 3 more cows in the state of Nebraska. So we're more populated by cows than we are people. So yes, like we talked about, hamburgers and cheeseburgers are really popular products that we get from our beef cattle. And they're actually one of the most popular sandwiches across the world, with 86% of the population ordering them each year, whether that's from a restaurant or a fast food chain. So beef is actually really nutritious, and 1 3-ounce serving of beef contains 10 essential nutrients, including half of your daily protein needs. So does anybody know what essential nutrients? We have 3 really big ones when we think of our beef. I'll give you, our acronym is ZIP. Can you think of one?
So one starts with Z. It has to be a nutrient.
Oh.
So think about what Miss Elise, or Miss
Calcium?
Nope.
That's a beef.
That is
Elise,
nutritious.
yeah, Mrs. Elise when she talks with you.
Vitamin? That's a beef. What vitamin?
So our Z stands for zinc, our Z. Our I is iron, and our P is protein. So ZIP is kind of the acronym that we like to think of when we think about the nutrients that come from our red meat products. All right, so you guessed this one earlier. Can anybody tell me what this is? Yes, this is our dairy cow. And so what's kind of all right, do both dairy cows and beef cattle produce milk? Raise your hand if you think yes. Yep, so both our dairy and our beef cattle produce milk, but we use our dairy cattle to produce the milk that we drink because they have such more prominent udders that produce more milk at a higher quality. So how many glasses does the average dairy cow produce each day? What does anybody have a guess? How many glasses? 30? More than 30. Do you have a guess?
50?
More than 50. A little more than 100. Less than 200. One more.
110?
Really close. 128 glasses every day. So that's about 8 gallons of milk that one dairy cow produces on the daily, about 302 days a year. They do have a period in there about 60 days where they have a dry period and they kind of freshen up just for rest. But the rest of those 302 days, they're producing 8 gallons of milk every day. So what color are dairy cows?
Black and white.
Yeah, what other colors?
Brown?
Brown, good.
Black?
They can be black too. Not pink.
How can it strawberry though?
No, that's actually a myth. What? Yeah, kind of a gray. So yes, this picture is our traditional dairy cow. This is a Holstein, and she is black and white. These are really popular because they produce the most milk. So we also have our brown Swiss, which is a brown color. Our Guernsey is a golden color. Our Holstein, like I said, is black and white. Our Milking Shorthorn and Ayrshire are red and white. And then our Jersey is like a fawn color. Our Jersey cattle are becoming a lot more popular right now because their milk has a lot of fat in it. So they're using that to make butter and ice cream and all of those other really good dairy products. So who likes to eat broccoli? Some of you guys. Yeah, so broccoli is not everyone's favorite food. And you'd have to eat 7 cups of raw broccoli to equal 1 glass of milk. So raise your hand if you would rather drink the milk. Yeah, most of us, absolutely. So what other products come from milk? I mentioned a few of them earlier. What are some other things that we get from milk?
Cheese.
Cheese?
I was gonna say cheese.
That's okay. Yeah. Bread? No, not quite. Ice cream, is that what you said? Yes, ice cream. Yogurt. Yeah, so ice cream, yogurt, cream, butter, all those really good things are dairy products and come from milk. So without our dairy cows producing that milk, we wouldn't have all the good things like ice cream. So does anybody, like parents or anybody wear an activity, like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch? Anybody know? Kind of know what that is? Yeah, tracks your steps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so dairy cattle are actually sometimes wear a tracker around their neck. This tracks how much they sleep, where they're moving, all of that really cool stuff. Because dairy cattle are kind of pampered. Our beef cattle live outside on the pastures, but our dairy cattle live inside buildings because they have to get milked in those parlors so many times a day. So they're kind of pampered, and they like to take really good care of them and like to know how they're sleeping so that we can take the best care of them. So, who likes chocolate milk? Yeah, me too. Definitely a favorite. So chocolate milk is actually really good at refueling your tired muscles after physical activity. So if you've seen commercials or like really pro athletes kind of promote chocolate milk because it has some protein in there that refuels your muscles. So raise your hand if you think cattle sleep standing up, and put your hand on your head if you think they sleep standing or laying down.
You know what?
Yeah, so cattle actually don't sleep standing up, and they do sleep laying down. So that's kind of a myth buster, something that kind of gets confused when we talk about our cattle. So just like our beef, dairy is actually very nutritious. It has 13 essential nutrients that play an important role in our growth and development. Can anybody tell what the main nutrient is that we get from milk? Calcium, yes. And what does calcium do for us? Good, yes. Calcium is a really prominent nutrient in our milk, and it makes our bones grow and be strong. All right, what is this picture of?
A pig.
Pig, yes. What's another name? Like, what else do we call a pig?
Hog.
Yep. Hog. What else?
Piglet.
Piglet. Those are our little pigs. Yeah, we get bacon from pigs. Good.
This is kind of a tough one. It starts with an S.
Mm-hmm. You got it?
Little boy.
What'd you say?
Little boy.
Not that. It starts with an S.
Small.
Sow. That's a female pig. Good job.
That's true.
A saddle.
No?
No? So swine. When we talk about pigs, we call it kind of our swine industry. We can call them pigs, hogs, or swine. So what are some products that we get from pigs? You said bacon. What else do we get? Here we go.
Figure.
I guess, yeah.
Pork.
Pork? Yes. That's it. What it is in general. Good. Sausage.
Meat.
Yep, meat.
Pork.
Pork.
Meat pie.
Okay. Who's eating a ham sandwich? Yeah? Where does that come from?
Pig.
Yeah, those come from our pigs. So we have a pork all the really good stuff that come from our pigs. So Nebraska is actually sixth in the country in producing pigs. That means there's only 5 states ahead of us in pig production. Can anybody guess who's number 1 in this country for pig production? I'll give you a hint that they're a rival with us in football.
The state.
Just take a guess. What state? Nope, not Texas. That's okay. Who's our big rival in football? Anybody know?
Is it our neighbor?
Michigan? Nope. Yep, they're our neighbor too. Nope. 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 Yes, Iowa. So Iowa is actually number 1 in swine production. But we're, like I said, we're not far behind. We're actually 6th in the nation. But like we talked about earlier, we're the beef state, so we focus a lot on our cattle. But we also have different parts of the livestock industry, such as our swine, that we like to produce as well. We actually have 7.7 million hogs marketed in Nebraska each year on over 1,230 pig farms. So how many of you guys really like ham sandwiches? One of your favorites, pretty good. Yeah. So ham sandwiches are really popular not just in Nebraska, but across the nation, and especially in countries like China and Mexico. So Nebraska in the United States actually exports a lot of our pork to countries such as China and Mexico because they eat a lot of it. So just like our dairy, our pigs are raised in operation or in buildings such as in buildings as well, and that's because pigs can get sick really easily, and then there's just so many of them that it works a lot better to keep them in a confined space. So pigs can sunburn really easily, and they don't sweat. So what do pigs do to combat this? Anybody know? Yes, very good. So since pigs get sunburned so easily, and because they don't sweat, they get really hot. And so they roll in the mud. All right. Okay, this is our last piece of livestock that we're going to talk about. Can anybody tell me what this top picture is? Yep, in the tan sweatshirt. You know what this top picture is?
A chicken.
This one's a chicken, yes. What about the top one?
A turkey.
Yep, a turkey. You said it. So what do we? Anybody know what we call this industry? Like our turkeys and chickens? Any idea?
Starts with a P.
This is gonna be a tough one too.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Hen house.
Nope. So we call it poultry. This is our poultry industry, which is kind of just our birds that we use for food or our livestock, chickens and turkeys. So Americans consume about 45 million pounds of turkey at Thanksgiving every year. Raise your hand if you had turkey at Thanksgiving. Yes, it's a very traditional, very popular food to eat at Thanksgiving, just across the nation. All right, so there are 2 types of chickens. Does anybody know what our 2 types are? What do we get from chickens? What products? Like, what do you eat that comes from a chicken? Meat, yes, we get our meat. And what's the other thing that we get? Eggs. So our chickens that produce eggs are called our layers. And our chickens that produce our meat are called our broilers. So we have our layers and broilers. So Nebraska actually has 9 million chickens that lay eggs that produce over 2.4 billion eggs every year. It takes a chicken about 26 hours to produce an egg. So they have an egg almost every day. So what color are eggs? White? Brown? Any other colors? Not Easter eggs, just regular.
Light blue.
Yeah, they can be light blue. Tan. Yeah, so eggs can come in all different colors. Raise your hand if you think the white ones are more nutritious, and put your hand on your head if you think the brown ones are more nutritious. So the eggs actually all have no nutritional difference. They all taste the same and all have the same nutritional value. They're just different colors. They actually contain 70 calories and then have 13 essential nutrients along with them. So if you're kind of catching on the trend, all of these products that we get from our livestock are really nutritious for us. So we also have broiler chickens, and these are our chickens that give us chicken nuggets, chicken sandwiches, chicken breasts, and all of that really good stuff that we have a lot in our school lunches. So most broiler chickens and layers are raised in barns. It's kind of like our dairy cattle and our swine. Why do we think that is? What is, if chickens were kept outside, what would happen to them? Anybody know?
They would die
Yeah, why would they die?
because they would have no food or water.
They could probably find some. What's another reason?
Animals, like wild animals can eat them.
Yep, so chickens are definitely a prey animal. There's a lot of predators out there. What are some examples of predators in Nebraska that could eat our chickens? Coyote, fox, wolves, yeah.
Wolves,
Livestock.
Yeah, dogs can kill them too.
Mountain lions.
Yep, probably.
Dogs. Skunks.
Skunks, yes. So as you guys are naming off a ton of them, there's a lot of predators out there, and chickens are so small and not very strong, and so that they are definitely prey animals, and just that's why we keep them inside, is to keep them safe. All right, so that's it for our livestock. So what are the 4 different types of livestock that I just got done talking about? Can anybody tell me?
Cows.
Cows. What are 2 different types of cows? Do you remember?
Dairy and meat.
Yep, beef. Yep. And okay, what are the other 2 things we talked about? Pigs. And what is this one? What did we call this industry?
Chickens and
Do
turkeys.
you remember what it called? It starts with P. Do you remember what the P word was? Whoa, here we go. Anybody know what the P word was? Do you remember what the P word was?
Something, yeah.
Yeah. So our poultry industry, we have our beef cattle that give us our red meat, our dairy cattle that produce our milk, our swine industry that produces our things like bacon and ham, and then our poultry industry where we have our layers and broilers that give us eggs and meat. So the other big part of our agriculture industry in Nebraska is our crops. What are the 3 main crops that we grow in Nebraska?
Corn.
Corn, very good.
Watermelon.
That is a crop we grow, not one of our main ones though.
wheat,
Wheat, good. What's our last one?
soybeans.
Yes, very good. So soybeans, corn, and wheat are kind of the 3 main crops that we grow across our state. And while the western part of the state is where a lot of our cattle are, the eastern part of the state has really fertile ground, and so you'll see a lot of farms just around Lincoln, more around the Lincoln area. So Nebraska produces about 1.85 billion bushels of corn every year. We live in the Corn Belt, so this is an area of land where the land is really nutritious and good for growing corn. Kind of us in Iowa are definitely in there. And what is our mascot in Nebraska? What are we called? The Nebraska
Cornhuskers.
Yes, very good. So the Nebraska Cornhuskers, just to speak to, once again, the agriculture in Nebraska and our crop farms. We'll do that on the end.
Just hang on, guys,
So has anybody been to Gothenburg, Nebraska? Hastings is a little closer than, yeah, a couple of you guys. So Gothenburg, Nebraska actually has a Frito plant. So who's eating? You guys all have Fritos, right?
Yeah.
So the corn grown in Nebraska sometimes goes to that plant in Gothenburg and is made directly into those Frito chips. So that's really cool that that whole process kind of stays in-house in Nebraska. So this top picture is a picture of soybeans. And Nebraska produces 350 million bushels of soybeans every year. Has anybody been to Memorial Stadium, watched the football games, seen it on TV? Well, it's pretty big. You can fill Memorial Stadium more than 25 times with all of the soybeans that are grown in Nebraska. So that's a lot of soybeans. So livestock are the biggest consumers of soybeans in Nebraska, but can we eat soybeans? Yes. Everybody look at their mayonnaise packet and tell me what the first ingredient on there is.
Soybeans.
What's it say? Can you tell me? Yep, soybean oil. So yes, we can't eat soybeans, while we're not the main reason that they're grown in Nebraska. They're for our livestock. We do use them in some things such as soy milk, soy yogurt, soy cheese, soy flour, edamame,
Soy
all
sauce.
of that really good stuff that we eat.
Soy sauce.
Yeah. So does anybody know what a bushel is? You know what it is? Yeah, kind of. So if everybody puts their arms out like this, like they're holding a big laundry basket, that's about how big a bushel is. So when I talk about how there's 350 million bushels of soybeans in Nebraska, there's about 350 million of those when we talk about bushels. So another major crop that we have in Nebraska is wheat. And what are some things that we get from wheat in the back?
Bread.
Bread, good. What do we use, what is wheat before it becomes bread?
Flour.
Yes, very good. So our wheat gets ground up into flour, and then we can use it to make things like bread and cupcakes and all that really good stuff. So unlike corn and soybeans that are harvested in the fall, wheat is actually harvested in the summer. So that keeps the farmers really busy all year round. So to finish up, agriculture is a really important part in our state of Nebraska and across the nation. And it has, without agriculture, we would have no food, no fiber, and no fuel. So I encourage you to think about agriculture when you're eating your lunches and all of the jobs that agriculture entails, not just your typical farming and ranching. All right, so what we're gonna do next is when I say go, do this right now, just listen. You're gonna put all of your trash inside your brown paper bag, except all of it. And then I'll have a trash bag up here, and you can bring it up to me. And then I'm gonna need everybody to pick up 5 pieces of trash or crumbs from the ground. We wanna make sure that we leave this room really clean, because we're super thankful to use it. All right, so go ahead.